Welcome back. Like I said earlier, Engineer Udengs Eradiri, former Commissioner for Youth, Commissioner for Environment, and Special Assistant on Youth Matters of the Niger Delta Commission. And he was once a leader of the Ijaw Youth. I remember then you were very energetic. And when you speak, seems like you want Nigeria to fall. But thank you so much for being part of the program this evening. Are you still like that? Are you still want to command things?
Well, I'm not in a position to command things. At that time, I was the youth leader and the president, at the time, the Secretary General of the Ijaw Youth Council, and then later the President of the Ijaw Youth Council. And of course, you knew that at that time, things were actually very tough in the Niger Delta.
It was.
When I was Secretary General, was when they had meant crisis and the economy was grinded to a halt. And I, at that time, participated in the process that saw the country coming back to its feet. When I became president, another crisis again. When President Buhari won the elections and the 5%, 95% issue came up, and then the entire Niger Delta went in flames. I was president. I was saddled with the responsibility of bringing back peace to that region. The Maritime University is a testimony to that process that we participated in. And when you lead the Ijaw Youth, you need to lead it with iron fist.
Iron fist, because
maybe that also affected the way we talk.
Yes, it was really interesting to watch you. At the time, you were quite young, but when you spoke, your voice was really loud.
I was president of engineering students in University of Benin, one of the best universities in the sub-Saharan Africa.
We cannot contend that right now.
And of course, you know that being brought up from a university like that, you would have been very much exposed to activism, engagements, intellectual discourse, and that formed our opinion about society and how things should be done at leadership levels. And a lot of what you are seeing today was influenced and baked by the University of Benin. So probably a leader first must be audible. You don't want to be a leader that cannot talk to the 3 or 4 persons.
That again can be contested, because we have seen leaders who are not necessarily audible, but we voted them in irrespective. But let's go to you, Governor of Bayelsa State. That's where you are headed. Yes. A lot of people would say, in spite of your credentials, I mean, you've done well for yourself as a young man. However, that seems like a tall order. How
is it a tall order? I'm going to be the second oldest person to be governor in Bayelsa State after the current governor. Every other person was 42, 40, 45, 40. I saw the former governor of Delta State today, and he told me he was 40 years when he was governor. I'm 47. Am I young?
So you're even late.
Yes, I'm actually, who are the people that are leading the world today? They are younger than my age or my age range. We are the ones that are supposed to be leading. The retirement age is 64 years. The current governor is 60. The current governor is 64. He should be retiring and going home. Science have proven that the older you get, the less productive you are to society.
Really?
And where Nigeria is today, you need people who are prepared to face the challenges of leadership. Bayelsa, look, being governor in Bayelsa is the most difficult thing that one should think about.
And yet it's the smallest state. How is that?
People keep thinking that a state that have been mismanaged over the years, a state that you do not have teachers in primary schools, a state that young people, 14, 13 years old girls are being pushed into prostitution by their parents, a state that young people are going into drugs and all kinds of things because leadership have failed to agitate the economy to engage young people. You know, so to be governor in Bayelsa State is going to be one of the most difficult jobs to do. But when you say governorship, most people think that to take leadership is about enjoyment, siren, all those rubbish things that, sorry for the language, rubbish things that people think that
you
should be the
yardstick. I'm not sorry for the language because you said it again.
Yardstick for measuring leadership. No, I'm going to be missing my family, my kids, my wife, dealing with problems of the state every day. They have squandered the state resources. So you must think out of the box to generate resources, create an economy, create jobs for young people. It's not going to be easy. They are owing over 150 billion naira. There's nothing to show for all the monies that we have received. Over 1 trillion have gone into the state. It's going to be a huge task. So when people see me, they should just be pitying for me. Oh boy, now wow, which kind of wala with this guy on? Yes.
But have you been getting that? Because
look, let me tell you. For me, I felt that if I don't do this, I will go to hell.
That's how passionate you are about it.
I believe that if I get to the gate of heaven, God will ask me, Udengs, what did you do when they abused leadership in your place? I will tell him that no, I was afraid. I didn't have money. He will tell me to go to hell. Come on, go to hell. But if I say I tried, but couldn't make it because the people refused to understand, he will say, Udengs, go and enjoy in heaven. That is the spirit with which I come to this table.
Are you afraid that the people will not understand? Because with them,
I'm
indeed going to fight really strong candidates. We're talking the incumbent.
What makes them strong?
We're talking the former governor and the former.
Oh, you're calling him. Thank God you said former governor. He was 42 years. He has done his time. He's 60 now. 60 plus. It's my time.
It's your time.
Yes, it's my time.
This is the same thing the president said that garnered backlash.
Yes, because he prepared over the years for this day, and he felt that he got to the time. It was his time. It's my time.
Have you prepared over the years?
Yes, president of the engineering students, secretary general the Joint Council, president the Joint Council, commissioner for youth, commissioner for environment, special assistant to the MD of NDDC, and then a businessman, a practicing engineer, current certified engineer, running an engineering company. Come on. So in business, I have some information about it. Youth activism, governance. I've seen the nakedness of neglect of government to be governed. So for me, I think that the route I'm coming from, I'm well prepared for leadership, and that's why I'm taking the challenge. Amongst my mates, where are they? How many people are coming?
I was asking, do BAYELSANs know this? The two other contenders have had a sting of the government house. You haven't. You have been around the walls, the halls, but you haven't really had that seat. You haven't sat on that seat yet. So, do you think BAYELSANs would allow a greenhorn per se?
I'm not a greenhorn. Oh, in any case, when I led,
I mean, beside the other.
Excuse me. When I led, I was president of the Joint Council, 9 states, US, Abuja, Lagos, London, and South African chapters. I was everywhere going to solve problems of the Jaws. I didn't even have the resources that in their own case, money is made available at the end of 30 days to say this is the money you use to run government. In that case, I didn't have that. I had to use my brain to run an institution that saw young people. Over 30,000 young people are now in either doctors, lecturers, professors, and the rest through the amnesty program. There's a university that is standing today in the Maritime University as a result of the activities and efforts that we put in when we were leaders of the Niger Delta. I'm talking about the Niger Delta. I'm not talking about the state. If I could have managed the Ijaw nation, there's no state I won't be able to manage. Bayelsa State. That at the end of 30 days, the money is there. They can't even use that money for the betterment of the people. And let me tell you, everybody in Bayelsa already have experience in bad leadership. And of course, we are going to be profiling solutions based on our past records. People will say, look, when you were XYZ, you did this, you did that. And so we believe that if you are entrusted with public funds, you'll be able to do better than these people. Some of them had their time. They have had their time. It's my time.
It's your time.
It's a time for young people to take leadership. Am I even a young person? I'm just going to be a bridge between the experienced older ones and the energies of the young ones, which I could fuse together and push the state forward. I'm 47. After now, I'll be going down the slope.
Okay.
Yes. So if anybody calls me a young person, maybe the person is misplacing my maybe BS for.
But I would really like you to tell me your experience when you did run for House of Representatives in the Yelga, Kolga.
That was in 2011 under the Labour Party.
Yeah, that's that elective position you were trying to get, and I want to know your experience and why you think you have learnt enough to do things differently now.
I think that what I experienced was the heavy hand of government.
Of government?
Yes, because I won that election. The records are there. The City House of Rep, I beat him in his father's unit and beat him in his local government. They rigged Yenegua. And I went to court with four wards. Then they started delaying the 2 out of 3 judges, one will come and say they didn't form a quorum and started shifting it after 180 days. That is the same strength I'm going to use to win them. What do they have in this election? The people's money, my money, your money. If not, when you say these ones are strong candidates, what made them strong? When they were my mates, what did they do to affect society? I'm telling you, we knew each other years ago when I was adding value to society. When they were my mate, what value did they add to society? We are only rating them based on being in government. Give me the same position and you will be amazed at what I will do with it. So for me, I'm not afraid when you say, no, they are big, hard heavyweight using my money. There are no teachers in primary schools in Bayelsa. The economy is dead. Nothing is going on in the state. It is that money they are gathering to come and buy votes. And that's what I'm telling the people. To buy votes? Yes. That's a very huge accusation. It's not an accusation, my dear. The only thing they know is to buy votes. Did you observe the past? My dear, I participated in the election. Are you forgetting that I was a PDP man and before I came here? I was in the, I've tested all these parties now. I was in a PDP government as a commissioner. I know what they do now. They relax and think that they will come and buy votes from the people. The last election that the PDP lost in Bayelsa to David Lyon, people rejected money. Some people returned 500 million they were giving to go and buy vote. They returned it. Because when the people are tired, that money will fail them. I'm talking about the money. I'm going to be talking about only the money. They are bringing your road, your school, your economy to come and bribe you. I will be able to create an economy in Bayelsa State. Sugarcane is growing untamed in Bayelsa. I'm going to produce sugar in Bayelsa. I went to Brazil. I went to Argentina. I see what they do with sugarcane. There's a 60,000 ton cassava processing facility in Bayelsa that is moribund. I am going to work with the people. That's why I have a very short agenda, PEEP agenda. People, education, agriculture, and power. First, the people. The people need to know what the government is doing. It has to be a participatory leadership. We need to look at healthcare of the people. We need to look at sanitation and drinkable water. There's no water in Bayelsa State. We need to look at housing. Come and see how Bayelsa is. Until somebody who understands it come in, then you begin to see the housing projects that will come on board where people can live in decent environments. These are the things I'll be talking about. I'm going to employ teachers, train them, and ensure that their welfare is next to none. I'm going to upgrade the educational facilities. Nobody use chalk and slate and blackboard for schools anymore. People use electronic displays with internet and data to teach young people. That's what will be happening in Bayelsa when I take leadership. I'm going to bring in skills development. The world is about skills. ICT. Who are the owners of Kuda and all this Money Point and the rest? It's not young boys who were taught by their government, created the platform for young people to take advantage of. And today, look at where we are. That's what I want to be doing in Bayelsa. I want to, look, rice. Lagos State went to Kebbi and started Lake Rice. Look at the billions and the kind of jobs they have created. Bayelsa keep talking about rice. They are taking the rice project to Peremabri and Sampo. Peremabri people, Sampo people are not rice growers. I'm going to start the rice program in Otokoti, where the people are original rice growers. When we were young in Bayelsa, during Christmas, that's where we used to go and buy rice. Our mothers go to Otokoti to buy rice. That's why Lagos, that does not produce rice, went to Kebbi to invest their money. And after 3 months, they made billions from that investment. Today, the biggest rice mill in West Africa is in Lagos. For a place where they don't produce one grain of rice, because people are thinking. There is a Peremabri rice project in Bayelsa. Over the years, it hasn't made progress. There is Sampo rice project. They have invested billions. It's not making progress because the people are original fishermen. They don't know anything about rice. I am going to change that in Bayelsa. I'm going to build a food processing and storage facility in our airport so that plantain and banana, that is international food, can be exported from Bayelsa. Come and see the quantum of plantain that our people plant and harvest, and then most of them rot away because nobody has come in to take the value chain to create economy and wealth for our people. So I'm prepared to take leadership in that state. Look at our university, Nigeria Delta University. Recently, students were complaining they couldn't even pay school fees. The school was stopping them. Why? Because the parents do not have an economy
exactly
to be able to generate the resources. The university managers are not taught how to run autonomous universities. You don't just say university autonomy without teaching the managers, the professors, how to run autonomous university. I'm going to ensure that the Niger Delta University services the state. So they are producing vegetables, they are producing beef, they are producing chicken, eggs, water, bread. I stopped water and bread from entering BAYELSA when I was IYC president. Today, go and see the jobs I created in only water sector alone. Bakeries. People left banks to set up bakeries. I created thousands of jobs in that state.
Just by stopping?
Yes. And saying that the companies in BAYELSA need to pick up.
Right.
Because they were all running around.
How were you able to influence that?
Because I was the Youth Council president, I did engagement with the people. I spoke to the people, I had consultations with bread makers, water producers, and eventually saw where the problem was. People were flooding the state from outside and then killing the businesses. Today, go and see what I did. Every nook and cranny of the state, they've heard about Udengs Eradiri. They may not have seen me, but they have heard because of the things that I did to affect the lives of the people. When at that time I was not a governor. When I take leadership, you will see what I'm going to do.
Yes, but I would like you to go back to those times when you were commissioner.
Yes.
I mean, what are those legendary or politicians? They like to use big adjectives to describe what they have done.
When I was commissioner for environment, you go and find out. I instituted the climate change department. For the first time, I took BAYELSA to Spain, where we had our own time in the United Nations.
That's students?
Not students. The Department for Climate Change in the Ministry of Environment. It's credited to me. And I used that to bring BAYELSA to the international scene, discussed about the environmental challenges that we had in the state, so that we were calling for an international task force on environmental practices by IOCs outside Europe, so that the same standards they are held with in Europe should be the same standards in the Niger Delta or in other countries that they operate. That is still on. The governor even went to Glasgow to try to further the engagements that we started the foundations. During the flood, before the flood, I cleaned the town. I set up a task force to discipline those who were abusing their waste.
Right.
Because waste management is another critical problem that affects flooding in the community. So I dealt with that. And
sustainable dealing with?
Well, as a commissioner, there's so much you can do, but it depends on the authorities you get from your boss. If the boss does not understand the issues the way you want, what are their priorities at that time? Elections. So some of the things were just stopgap measures that we used to ensure that the state was in order.
Did you have a boss that really understood what you were doing?
Well, I think that at that time my boss, yes, he understood, but the priorities were about elections. So some of the things were not able to be sustainable. So I was able to transfer that to the new governor. I sent him a budget for the Ministry of Environment, dealing with almost all the areas that I found out as deficient to the ministry, and expected him to act on them, but because they don't understand. And these are some of the reasons why I want to take leadership in the state. Because you try to advise, because they are not on the same frequency, they don't understand. The things that bother them are not the things that bother the people. What they're after is how to be part of a governor's forum, come and do leader of governors and all that, rather than dealing with the issues that concern the welfare of the people.
Okay, Labour Party, of all parties. I mean, I know you to be in the APC. In fact, prior to the elections, you were speaking really loudly for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And all of a sudden, I saw you picked a ticket from Labour Party.
Yeah, because...
first of all, how did that happen?
Well, it happened because, you see, party politics is different from the larger politics. Certain people have grip over party structures, and so once you see that you cannot wrestle authority from them, you look for a platform where you can express yourself. So somebody like Silva, who has been leader of the party, I'm going to be struggling with him when I know that 75% of the structures of the party is the one that controls them.
How is that? If you have done your homework in convincing, in lobbying,
you don't understand
for the benefit of the state. That should expect that's what the primary is in the first place.
That doesn't work in party primaries, in party politics. That's why the current president won the vice president. The vice president was cerebral. Everybody loved him. But because it was party politics that sometimes date back from the foundation, the roles that certain persons have played, you may not have been in the position to play those roles. You may not have been in the position to position the kind of people that they have positioned in certain places for that purpose. So as at the time you come and expect to go and talk to people, it won't work, because that becomes party politics. Those loyalties are usually cast on stone. And so if you realize that and you want to get to the field, because in the field now, we are all in the field.
You're all in the field, but does the Labour Party ideology resonate with you, or it's just another platform that was available that did not have a structure that would oppose your
what are the Labour Party ideology? Competence. I am a competent individual. Capacity. I have a lot of capacity. Integrity is what I don't play with. Those things resonated with me. That's why, out of all the parties, I went back to a Labour Party. You forgot that in 2011, I contested House of Rep from Labour Party. I didn't go any other place other than the party that I felt that I have been part of and I can work my way through. And then I went in there, even before the tsunami of Obi that came upon the party. I was already there supporting the structures, trying to give them a foundation. And so when it got to the elections, even though I was the youngest among 9 aspirants, 105 votes, I got 79 votes.
You got 79 votes?
Yes.
How is the Labour Party structure in the state? Because whether we want to believe it or not, and in fact, the past elections have just taught us that you say what you want about the candidate, Nigerians still look at the party. So what's the popularity like? Well,
if you look at the tribunals, you find out that BAYELSA elections and materials are already presented. They said we came second, but actually the Labour Party won that election in BAYELSA.
In BAYELSA?
Yes, this is a party that had no structure according to people. But don't forget, in 2011, Labour Party was a strong party because Timi Alaibe was also contesting that election. So Labour Party was like the second party to beat. It was PDP Labour Party. So the people had heard about Labour Party before. So at this time around, with the obese personality, it went across board. In some areas, there were no agents. It was Stone that was agent. So if they count the votes, they drop it, they put a stone on top of it. He still won the election because Nigerians truly are moving away from this kind of Superman politics. And people are beginning to question the status quo and say, no, we are going to vote because over the years, people can count, the gaps between the kind of leadership that they have had, and people are beginning to stand up to say, why should I go and take 4,000 or 5,000 for 4 years? And if you speak the right language, you will get the people to wake up to do the needful. And that's what's going to happen.
Okay, but for you now, is that why you went back to the Labour Party? Is it the LUP factor that
there was no LUP factor when I went?
Because, I mean, you were very strong on Asiwaju.
Yes.
And I wonder if you still enjoy that trust by
listen, I've just told you now, I left because I couldn't contend with Siva in a party that he had been before me. And then even a David Lyon that won the elections that couldn't get in, that should have gotten first right of refusal. He was Muslim. Just say, Your Excellency, sorry, I no get power issue, but we'll meet at the field. Are we not in the field? We are in the field. And let me tell you, I have kept an integrity over the years in my state. People know me. I'm not the kind of young person that you push around. No.
That you were Asiwaju a couple of days to the election, and after
I
mean I understand, but I just want to quickly ask if there are people not questioning your intentions.
No, why should they question my intention?
Because
my intention was made open. That look, I want to participate in this election, but the way I see it, I will not have a chance here. But I will go and test my popularity with the people.
Is that what you're doing? Testing?
I'm going to win the election. I'm telling you about the winning the election.
It's time to go for a short break. We'll be right back. We're still talking about the BAYELSA Guba elections that are coming on soon. This is still Joy Asonye Live. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that short break. We're still discussing with Engineer Udengs Eradiri. He's the Labour Party gubernatorial candidate for the BAYELSA polls that is coming up on the 11th of November 2023. And he's been discussing so much. He seems to have very laudable project, but we had mentioned something we have not really gone into, the money politics that characterizes Nigeria's political landscape. Are you convinced that the people of BAYELSA would listen to you and follow these laudable projects you have in mind? And maybe, I'm not sure, you had hypothetically said they might have to bring money to coerce them or induce them, like the words they said earlier they've been using ahead of the elections.
I don't have the money that they throw around in politics.
You do not, but
yes,
does it scare you a bit?
No, not even not 1 minute. None of them went to carry block in a site to bring the money. It is my money. It is your money. It's the state money. There are no teachers in primary schools. They are going to be bringing your schools. They are going to be bringing your economy to come and share for you for another 4 years. It's your choice whether you will continue like that. That's the message that we are resonating as Labour Party to the people. Once we carry that message, they are human beings. They have all experienced bad leadership. You need to see the poverty in BAYELSA. We are the richest state by numbers, by the allocation, and yet there's self-induced poverty in BAYELSA state because of failure of leadership. So those are the issues we'll be talking about in this election. We're not going to be telling them. They already know the capacity we have. We have a very short agenda, the people agenda, that will deal with the issues. If I can achieve that in 4 years, I've turned the state around.
And would you step aside?
Of course. What am I? I'm a young person. I need to go and run my company and get it to the apex where I want it to be in society.
We've heard this before from politicians who would say, I have plans, one that might just end in 4 years. And after 4 years, you said, well, there were plans that had an 8-year tenure. So in
BAYELSA, we religiously follow rotational politics. The governor,
a 4-yearly rotational politics?
Yes, it's 8 years. The governor has squandered the first 4 years. We are from Central. And so I'm saying no. Your 4 years did not touch any life in Yenegua or Southern Nigeria or other parts of the state. The balance, I want it. That's what I'm going to do.
And you're promising other parts of BAYELSA that you will do your 4 years?
I'll do my 4 years. 4 years, and I'll hand over.
Why should they believe you?
Because I'm the first person that handed over in the IYC on the exact date and time, 3 years after. I didn't, even when overtures came from leaders to say no, at this time there was chaos in the land, I said no, sir. Once it is the 3 years I took the oath for, it is my time is up. My spirit and soul has even left. So let some other person come and do it. It's on record. I was president in University of Benin. When it got to my time, I did not take 1 minute. I left. And that's how I've always left my mark in every institution that I find myself. When it gets to the time I leave, you will never hear my voice. The things that I do when I was in that office will resonate and speak for me. And so
is BAYELSA politically aware enough to say we would let go of these monies that will be daggled over our faces?
It happened in the last election.
With the level of poverty?
It happened in the last election when the Lion won PDP.
That was in the last election?
In the last election.
Okay, the last election. Yes.
Election.
This is the miracle governor.
No, that word is wrongly used. It's wrongly used. When they use miracle, they want to downplay the contributions of the former governor, Dixon. Dixon went to court to challenge an infraction. That's not a miracle.
Well,
my dear, if you break your leg and you get up in the morning and start running, it's a miracle. But if you rub nerve and bone, it's expected that in 2 weeks' time, the leg will be straight.
Right.
Somebody went to court to challenge an infraction in somebody's certificate. Clearly, the outcome will be Eradiri. There's something like miracle there. And I keep saying that people should stop using that. It's a wrong phrase that is being used. God will not sit down in that big heaven and give us this kind of miracle. I've told you about young girls as early as 13, 14 being chased out for prostitution in BAYELSA. I've told you about young people going to Yahoo how nothing is happening in the place. I live in Yenegua. If I go home with 2 million in 3 hours, it's finished. It's because there's endemic poverty in the state. Arrears of teachers are not being paid. There's a lot that is going on that people don't know. There's no potable drinking water when we are surrounded by water.
And democracy allows stakeholders such as yourself not to necessarily contest, but to hold government accountable, to say, yes, I promised and you have not delivered.
If you know me before today, I have always lent my voice. But I think that I should no longer be complaining, but go and take action. It is the action I'm taking. Why should I be complaining at the corner? I went and joined government. I saw it. I've seen how things are done. I contributed in ESCO. Today, I think that it is my turn to take leadership. It is the turn of young people of my generation to take the leadership. And instead of complaining, let's go and take the action to change the issues. There's no light. There's no power. When the last administration was leaving, it signed the autonomy for states to produce power.
Exactly.
It means that if your state does not have head, you stay in darkness.
That's true.
We have gas in abundance, and we cannot produce power. When NCDMB, the Nigerian Local Content Board, bought an 11 megawatts power plant, they have given themselves power, all the surrounding buildings around them, the government house, the state secretariat, as well as the hospital. They have not used 4 megawatts. The other 7, they are now looking for how to commercialize it. Is it 10 megawatts Bayelsa government cannot buy? Come on, these guys are not serious. I'm telling you. So, instead of complaining,
you have decided to
join the race. And then I've been going from community to community talking to the people. Can't you see that I'm emaciated?
You have, actually. I thought you were gymming.
I'm going to the communities to talk to the people and raise the issues. I'm not going to be doing those campaigns of making noise and beating band on everywhere. No. Engagements. Those engagements, you are going to see the results at the end of November, when November 11th, or 12th, when the results will be announced. The people are tired. They know. Some of them were boasting that we have all the money. How much does Udengs have? I'm going to demystify that money. That's what I'm doing. And that's why I'm talking about the money. Talking about the roads, showing them comparatively what should have happened. I counted over 10 companies in Bayelsa, state-owned institutions that used to create jobs for people that is moribund. Is it the Bayelsa Oil Company, the Bayelsa Construction Company, Bayelsa Dredging Company, the Bayelsa Drug Distribution Company, the Plastic Company, the fish ponds, 1,500 fish ponds, Bayelsa Fisheries for ocean and the blue ocean economy. Moribund. The 60,000 ton cassava processing facility, after building it, because the people are not involved, it is moribund. I can go on and on. The Bayelsa Palm, all these are institutions that would have created nothing less than 500 jobs. Don't allow them to deceive you. They come and say they are doing road to Southern Nigeria, they are doing road. Yes, I commended them for the roads they did, but what is the job description of the governor? If the road is not part of your job description, for you to be a governor, what are your responsibilities? It's to do road. You didn't start the road. These roads were started years before. Goodluck came, contributed his quota, left. Silva came, did his own, left. Dixon came and took the road to the next level before the governor is taking him to stop at certain areas. When I come, I'm going to complete them. Like the Ekremo Road, it was meant to hit Agay, so I will open up the ocean to the interlands.
Right. Because
Agay is the deepest shoreline that Nigeria has. Very good for a port. The Brass Road, Brass has all the gas, oil and gas activities going on there. It is in the interest of every governor to ensure that a road gets to the ocean, because the greatest nations in the world are ocean based. Why should we have Brass, have Agay, and then we are struggling in Yenegua when we can just open those areas up so that the blue economy can be harnessed to develop the state and also create jobs for our people? So when the governor comes and says, I'm doing road to this, what is supposed to be your job? You know, so for me, I'm prepared for this election. It's just that I will not be sharing money the way they are going to be throwing away your money. I've told the people, collect it, because it's part of your 4 years that they did not provide for those amenities that they were elected for. Therefore, you take the money. But now you must look at the individual. if you were given authority, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. Is it now that you are going to do it? So for me, I'm well prepared. I've set my agenda very clear. I will deal with education, deal with agriculture, the power issues. If I develop an area and then I pipe gas to that area, because Bayelsa has 20% in the gas.
Exactly.
The gas they are flaring.
Flaring?
Yes, and I advertise.
Century.
Yes, they're still flaring. And I advertise to the companies and say, look, bring your factory to Bayelsa and there's gas available, there's power. Do you know how many companies will leave competitive environments to go to Bayelsa? If I have a good tax regime and then security for their facilities, a lot of companies will move in and will create jobs. On the long run, the state will begin to make money and reap from that kind of investment.
Now you have mentioned something about what you would do in terms of the environmental degradation that's going on. Let's go to security in Bayelsa.
Okay, let me tell you. See, when I take leadership, I'm going to make it easy for the federal government. Because what does the federal government want? You need a governor that will reduce the pressure that is coming from the state. For instance, there's so much pressure on oil and gas infrastructure. But the government signed the PIA into law, the Petroleum Industry Act, that says that 3% of operating expense and budget for the company, it should go to the communities. They have not gone to educate the communities, so the communities don't even know their rights. Some communities are going to worry companies for how much? 3 million. The other day I saw a community organizing fundraiser to stop the flood. This is a government responsibility. They were doing 100 million. I told them that 100 million was not even enough to mobilize the machines to site. Meanwhile, that community produced a lot of oil. So their 3% could have done far much more than that 100 million. So I'm going to educate the communities about their role and their benefit in every oil and gas activity in their environment, using the PIA that government have signed into law. That way, you will not need federal government to spend money for securing pipelines, because the community will be calculating every 12 hours. This is what we make, so nobody should near our territory.
Right.
The next community will do the same, the next will do the same, and before you know it, federal government will spend nothing but be protecting the facilities, because the communities now know that they have a percentage in every action that goes on in their environment.
Would that solve the security
issues? It will solve the problem, because I'm going to deal with the criminal elements. I was former president of the Joint Council. If I go to the river and gather all the boys and say, look, this is what we are doing for this area, I'm going to start the Bayelsa Agro Service here. Any young boy who is finishing secondary school must enroll in the agricultural program that we are going to be using to create that agricultural value chain in the state. So it's going to be like the NYSC program.
But in agriculture?
Yes, but in agriculture specifically. So we look at the various areas of agriculture, vegetables, animal husbandry, fisheries, and then we move our young people to those areas and then manage them, teach them entrepreneurship. Once anybody graduates 6 months from that program, he will go back to use his father's land to do what he learned in that program. That way we can gradually begin to change the mindset and make Bayelsa a state that will be recognized for value, because we now have the young energies that we are going to be pumping into productive means.
Right.
So if I do that, how many are we? We're not even up to 600,000. Forget about all those lies that they come up and say we are 2 million people. This one will say Nigeria is 200 million. Lies.
What do you think? Where do you think we are?
No, we're not even up to 100 million. We're not even up to 100 million.
You mean
look at what beavers have shown to us.
What did beavers show? Places
that they wrote 100,000, 120,000 votes. Certain Injo, for instance, to get 12,000 was a problem when in this very keenly contested election. And you saw what came out from Delta and other places in the country, where areas they used to write 300,000. It was difficult to get 5,000 people.
But INEC themselves had said that about 87 million people had collected their PVCs. So is this a case of voter apathy?
No, they are double registrations. Some people registered here, registered here. All those ones will count into the INEC figure now. In Bayelsa, there is Bulutor, where you have Delta this side, Bayelsa this side. The communities here will come and register here and register here. Communities here, register here and register here. All that is the number now. So that during election, if their brother is here contesting, everybody here cross here and vote.
And afterwards?
Yeah, they wait for the next election. I'm telling you what's happening. And we know that all these are antics that some of these so-called political leaders had put in place to manipulate results on their behalf. When you hold them for the right thing, they fail. In the primaries, one of the elders was trying to go and write his list of delegates and go and submit. I blocked him. I said, no, we'll go and do the right thing. INEC will go and conduct delegate congresses in the wards.
Right.
When they did that, no way now. Because they are always very comfortable. No worry, we'll go write the result and announce it. They are still coming with that euphoria of writing results. Why we are going to show them how elections are done now. Because we read the Electoral Act. We know what it's supposed to be. And that's what we will be teaching our people, and we enforce it. This is no longer the time you come and bring guns and snatch ballot box. Anyone you snatch will be cancelled. Exactly. The communities are also fired up to understand that their role is to vote and ensure that those votes are uploaded in the IREF. We are also having our own back-end IREF to pick all the results from the field. Anybody who tries to use violence, we will balance terror with them in that election.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Do you have the
capacity?
I don't want to even use capacity.
Well, I was president of the Joy Youth Council, so we are going to be firing up our structures. When I was president, I set up structures around the Ijaw Nation, and those youth structures are the structures that we use to control security issues in the Niger Delta. So if anybody comes and says he wants to come and snatch ballot box, terrorize people, we will not allow it happen.
Is it because you are trusting the security agents to do that, to ensure that it doesn't happen?
We are working with the security agents to make sure that they know their role.
Thank you.
And they play
to clear that part.
Yes, and then the communities are mobilized to resist anybody that want to do such. We have seen it in our communities before.
We have, but there's the danger of also using the community for your own
No, it's not for my own agenda. It's to educate the community about their role and why they must protect their... Look, there was a time I went to elections in my community. Before I went there, I heard that one former deputy governor has brought talks to the community. I only went quietly. We agreed in the community. We always hold meetings and agree that nobody comes with any foreigner to the community, because your community will protect you if anything happens to you.
Okay.
Why should we bring people? And when they brought, I just went to them and said, oh boy, I know you, out of my community. I didn't come and work in your community during election. You have no business here. 10 minutes, out. And they left.
Quietly.
Yes, because you know me, I know you now. I will come find you, come reach your house too now.
I am from the Niger Delta region as well. So when you say, yeah, I know you, leave my community in 10 minutes, I want to applaud you. This isn't how it's done in other parts of the Niger Delta. But you talk the talk, and a lot of people listening to you are probably applauding. You have all the right words. Your agenda seems to be one that would actually give the Bayelsa people a facelift. However, if push comes to shove, are you one of them politicians that will step aside and maybe see the light like we have seen in other cases?
I like when people ask me this, but I get so upset when I hear it from people. Why?
Maybe
let me tell you, everything, my dear,
the light at the end of the tunnel.
Any food that Dangote have eaten, you have eaten it. It's just your mindset. It's just your mindset. It's not chicken you eat. Sometimes the chicken you eat is even the local one that is sweeter than the frozen one they eat. If you have that mindset, you will not look at any money that anybody will come to destroy you. I've built a name over the years. So I'm going to negotiate. They are saying it now that I'm placeholder for silver. Next thing they say I'm placeholder for I've gone around all the leaders.
I heard another speculation that you're just there to balance some votes.
My dear, I've gone around all the leaders. I've given them drink. I even have the governor's drink in my car. Anywhere I see him, I will give it to him.
Can
to
you
bless
give me? I will go and give him. I'm
trying to explain to you.
Right.
I say it's my turn. They are all 60-something years. Why should I go and negotiate with them when I win them in the election?
You are that confident.
The voting population, they are younger people than the older ones. And I'm appealing to the young ones. I'm not a new face. I've been there. If they refuse to vote for me, I'll go and face my business. I'm not unemployed.
Good. If they refuse to vote for you, hypothetically speaking, are you planning to work with any because you
I'm already on the ballot.
I know.
So we are going to get to November 11th now.
Yes, and then after November 11th, while I join others to support your candidature, I'm asking, would you want to not let all you have said go to waste and you work with the government?
Well, you see, over the years, I've always worked with government. I was a commissioner in the system. On several occasions, I tried to advise the sitting governor. Documented evidence. practical things that will help him. You're talking to him, he's not even understanding what you're saying. So why would I be wasting my time? I'm telling you things that should have supported them to change the government for the betterment of all of us. And you're talking, look, during flood, the cemetery used to overflow and corpses would be floating in the town. That's how bad it was. I used to go and fumigate the cemetery to avoid epidemic in the state. I relocated that cemetery in the new budget. I handed it over to the governor. I put the water master equipment, vehicles, buses, trucks, because the Ministry of Environment had no vehicle. I had to buy a Sienna to carry inspection officers to be going around the town. I put a zoo. We have the only red monkey in the world is in Bayelsa. All we need to do is employ forest guards, educate the communities, and isolate those areas, and we'll start making money from National Geographic organization. Right. We have turtle sanctuary in Bayelsa, where by July you see millions of turtle that have laid their eggs going into the ocean. All these are, potentials for tourism, potentials for investment for the state to generate resources. I dealt with them and handed over 6 billion and 40 million naira budget to the governor. He came up with a 300 billion naira budget for the year 2020. Asked them, how much of that did they spend for the Ministry of Environment? Not even a dime. They are still using the Sienna I bought for them. I'm telling you that the situation is so bad. By implication, you have noticed that they don't listen. Is that no, they don't listen. They do not listen. The current leadership does not listen. You know, when they were doing marginal fields, I went to him. I said, look, reorganize the Bayelsa Oil Company and bid, and then ask for first right of refusal. He was looking at me. That marginal bid round came and has gone. Nothing happened. Not one. Not one. Meanwhile, we used to have Atala fields. We lost Atala fields. There's a fraud around Atala fields that they sold it to themselves. The Bayelsa Oil Company, that was very strong an institution, is dead. These are practical things that a government is supposed to use to add value to himself. So if I have brought all this to the table and you're not doing it, I already have a blueprint on how to use that to create wealth for the state. Okay. Now, before I let you go, I'm sure Nigerians are wondering, no matter what you say, elections are very expensive. Yes. So how are you able to manage all of this? Well, I have a lot of friends and support. And I work. So I've saved some money to manage the process, but I'm not going to share money that I work so hard for to people that sit at home and then they'll come and take the money. No. I'm going to, the electoral process is expensive, so I'm ready to fund it to that point. Because people already believe in me. A lot of people that are supporting this process are putting their money and everything to the process. I don't have money to come and share to people. But I have the brains to change the fortunes of the people. I used to tell them, no politician will give you money to live better than himself. But a good politician will create the enabling environment for you to live a decent life. And in most times, better than the politician. That's what I come to the table with. If you don't like them, I'll go and face my business and enjoy myself because I'm not unemployed. I'm not also suffering. I'm only belling this cat on behalf of the people who do not have the opportunities that I have painstakingly developed myself to get to. I know the route I went through to get to where I am. So, but you see, it's their choice. Whether they will continue where they are. We have seen what is happening in the country today. People are waking up to take the bull by the horn and vote in people they believe that can do this job. Yeah. That is even the social contract I'm looking for. That one that will bring the people out to say, we believe in you, and so we are going to give you the vote. That is what I'm looking for, so that when I sit there, I will not sleep until I deliver on the promises I've made. Thank you so much for being part of the program and giving us a good idea as to where Bayelsa is right now and where you hope to take it. It has been very interesting. We've been discussing with Engineer Udengs Eradiri. He's a former Commissioner for Youth, former Commissioner for Environment, and Special Assistant, former Special Assistant really, on youth matters to the NDDC. He is currently the Labour Party Bayelsa Gubernatorial candidate. Thank you again. Thank you very much. This is where we draw the curtains on Joy Asonye Live. Again, we'll be back tomorrow to discuss so much more. Have a wonderful, productive evening.